But to look your enemy in the eye, knowing you'll remember his face for the rest of your life, now that takes a stomach much stronger than you'll ever have.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Gull Gaming, and today we're going to be trying to do a little bit of modders on modding. Now, what you can see in front of you here is something called 3ds Max. Now, what I'm going to try and do with you guys is I'm going to try and build a whole ship, texture it, model it, make it ready for sins in every way, and then put it into the Sins of a Solar Empire Rebellion engine in the way that many mod teams have been doing recently. Now, any of you who know me know that I'm not a modeler in any way, stretch or form. So this could be a learning experience, a horrible learning experience for all of us. So yeah, let's get on with it now. I've fiddled with this once or twice before. I've never really done anything serious, and I just wanted to show you that maybe even as an amateur, just fiddling around with things, we might find that together we can make something that's quite interesting. So this is the first screen that you start with. You've got various different views. This is the view from the top, this from the front, this from the left-hand side of the object, and this is a perspective view that you can basically faff around with quite a lot. Now, what I do is I hold the middle mouse button down to move stuff around like that, and then you can hold the Alt key and you can swivel around. So this is the one where you want to kind of be looking at things. You can also roll the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. So the first thing that we want to do is make some kind of object. Let's see, should we make a cone? It's always good to start with a cone. Now I'm going to start here at the front, and you can change everything here. I think I want something like 32 sides on this. Cap segments, we only want 1, and height segments, I reckon we'll go for something like 6. Alright, that seems fine. So let's see how we start this off. Oh, there we go. So let's make it this big. And then, oh yeah, look at that. It's coming across. And this is by a single click and then dragging. And then you can drag it to a closed position. I don't know if I want that quite closed, so we'll... There we go. There's our object. Now that we've got our object, and it's created, it looks really interesting. Like, as I say, we're down in this particular view at the moment, so let's just have a quick look at it. Magnificent. Now, the reason that I've given this 32 sides is because if you give it an even number of sides, any even number of sides, it means you're going to be able to cut this in half, because you will have a top face and a bottom face, and they will go together quite nicely. We'll do a little bit more about that later on. This is our first shape. So we've got a cone. So, you know, I suppose if we squash this a little bit, we could always have the lunar lander. Not the lunar lander, actually. It was the Apollo 11's kind of crew compartment. In fact, any of the Apollo series crew compartment was dropped into the sea. Get some parachutes on the go. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. Yeah, so we have our object. Now, if we go from the create option over to the modify option, here is our item itself, and it is a cone. Yeah, we know that. But if you right click on where it says cone and turn it into an editable poly, this particular object now is it's going to be editable. We can change it. Let's just see where everything lies. I'm going to center this. It's something that has been mentioned to me before. Oh, what am I doing? Something like that. So, right, we've got our object. Great. We can see it's not quite centered. But we can't center it because we're very stupid. Yeah, actually, seems pretty good. That is relatively centered. We'll have another look at centering it later on. So, what can I do to make this cone more interesting? I think one thing I do want to do, okay, is I'm going to go to Edit Poly Mode, and we're going to choose this little front face. So what can I do with this? Well, let's take a look. We can move it, rotate it, scale it, take its placement. All looks quite interesting. So let's look at the move option. If we were to use the green bar here, now the green bar will remain the same in each section. So If I was to click on the green bar, well, we can move this bit forward, or we can move that bit back into itself. Oh, it's looking quite interesting. Control Z is always reset in this case. Now what could we do? We could... You can see these things have just reset themselves, but if I... Ooh, there we go. If I use the red bar, this will move it sideways, which is the X position. And last but not least, the Z bar will move it up and down. That's fantastic. You can also use multiples of these at the same time. You will see that there are two little boxes. Let's just angle ourselves so we can see them properly. There's one here and one here. And this allows you to do two things at once. So let's just see what it's doing. Ooh. And this one will allow us to move it in several directions at once like that. You can see it from the front view up and above, just wiggling around. Good stuff. Right, do we want to wiggle it? Probably not. There is the answer. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, so, right, we've got our cone. I think what I might want to do in this particular instance is do something called extrude. Now what an extrude does is it basically creates a new set of polygons based on the ones that you already have existing. So if I click this, and then you can do this in a very specific manner. So if I clicked settings, which is the little box here, there we go. It allows me to be very specific. So I'm going to make this 0.2 meters. So we'll click. Oh, there we go. There's 2 meters, but I wanted 0.2, didn't I? 0.2. There we go. And let's see how that goes. That looks nice. Oh, okay. So click yes, and now it's done that. And we can repeat that as many times as desired. So shall I do it one more time? We'll click on here. It knows it's 0.2 meters because it remembers it, and OK. You can see this has now made two extra sets of polygons. There we go. Fantastic. Don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, but I am quite mad, so I'm sure it'll be something interesting. Aside from poly manipulation, which is here, you can have edge manipulation, which will allow you to choose and manipulate any edges in the same way. And you can also have vertex manipulation. Let's have a look at that. That is any points where edges meet on the item. So there we go. We can see that. All very interesting stuff. Now you can select multiple ones at once by selecting one and then holding control and selecting others. Or conversely, what you can do is, because you've got this view, you could do a drag selection. So we've dragged across here and we've selected all the ones on this particular area. That's awesome. Let's see what we can do with this. We could scale this. We can scale it in the Z dimension. We can scale it in the X dimension. We can make it nice and thin. Oops. We can press the wrong button. We can scale it in... Oh, we can't scale it in that direction because nothing will actually happen, which is nice. Or we can use a combination of the above just to make it smaller. We can bring that into a point if we choose to. Like that. Or we can go back out. We don't want to go out. That would make it look crazy. And you can use certain sections of each, as you can see here. Right. Since we've chosen not to do that, I've somehow got rid of my menu, and I'm not really sure how I've done that. Whoop, whoop. Well, I've done something, which is always fun. Don't really know how I've done that. Maybe if I pressed escape. Nope, that won't help. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what have I done? That is the question. I feel a little bit special now. Oh, cancel expert mode. Yes, I put myself in expert mode. That's why I didn't know what was happening, because I'm not an expert. Okay, so, what other things can we do? Let's take a look. Always good to be checking things out. Shall we try going back to edge manipulation? Choose all the edges here. Now you see we've got quite a lot of edges here. You can actually grow and shrink these. There's two options here. We can shrink that and it will just shrink to the ones below. So let's grow it a couple of times. You can see it selecting along the edges and polys. So let's shrink it back. We've just got these done now. What options are we faced with here? Pretty much the same. We can move and grow, etc, etc. Let's go back to poly manipulation. One of the things that I wanted to do was move the bottom around. So let's check placement. Whoop. Whoa, we didn't want to do any of that. That was most obscure. Ooh. We can turn the item. Let's see what happens if we turn it. Well, we don't know how to do that. So let's turn that off before we get confused. Hinge from edge. Ooh, we're doing something interesting over here. So let's turn that option off because it's insane. This is why we can't have nice things, by the way. This is why I'm not allowed to model. Because I'm a confusing young man. And a confused young man. So let's yes, right, we have this. So let's hinge that from the edge and see what it does. Oh wow, look at this. It's insane. Oh, brilliant. Should we extrude along spline and see what that does? Absolutely nothing. Now another thing that we could do is we could bevel this, so we could move it inwards and then squeeze it all together so it looks like some kind of giant gun of doom. Quite like that actually. Should we? In fact, we could do this twice. We could bring this back out and then bring it inwards and then bring it in and oh, look at that. That looks like some kind of crazed cannon. And who doesn't want a crazed cannon in their lives? I'm going to leave that as is. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, now that we've done that, let's see what else we can do. Now, the lines on this I don't feel are very flowing. So, I think what I would like to do is I would like to choose our edge facing. And I'm going to choose this section, which is going to go around to the other side because I felt like the lighting was better there. So, we'll choose here. And there is a function called loop. And it will do a whole loop. You can see here that it's just looped the entire thing. Now what can I do with that to make it more interesting? I'm going to scale it, and I'm going to scale it upwards a little bit. And hopefully what I'm doing is going to become a little bit apparent as I go through these. Let's loop it again. Have we looped? We have looped. And scale this one up. Okay. Zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Loop. Scale it up again. Now hopefully you're beginning to see that I'm bringing this outwards in general. We'll do this one more time. Loop. Bring it out a little further again. Now this is looking even more like the moon lander did, in fact. Or the Apollo ship. But it's looking a little bit round really, isn't it? So I think what I want to do is I'm going to select the entire object right now, and then because we already have this function on the manipulate function, I think I want to squash it down so it's much flatter. Let's see how that looks in general. Utterly ridiculous, but I kind of like this. Like I said, we're not going for anything complicated here because, well, yeah. Because me, that's why. Alright, cool. So, what else can we do to make things interesting? I think this particular section might need a little bit of something. We have something called the inset function. So I can make this entire area a little bit smaller. That's done now. Now what can I do now that I have the inside area? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to extrude, go inwards. Fantastic. And then if I was to inset again, now see we don't want to do this because it's making crazy polys happen, so I'm not going to do that. What I am however going to do is let's see if we can bevel this inwards. Ooh. And then extrude it outwards. Hopefully this is going to become apparent in what I'm doing. And then we can scale it down. Let's get that scale quite small. And then one last extrude inwards. Whoop, whoop. I had chosen bevel, which was foolish. Extrude. Let's just check if there are any crazy polys there. No, nothing weird. And that's going to be our engine in this instance. It's a very, very simplistic engine. What we could do, in order to make this look a little bit better, is select everything around this particular line. It's a good thing you weren't expecting me to create a masterpiece here, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? And we are going to, once again, scale this, I think. We're going to actually scale it down in general. Oh, that's not something I want to do. You can see it's doing something weird there. Why is that, I wonder? So let's take a look and see what we've missed. Nothing as far as I can tell. But that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. So what can we do about that? Let's extrude it and bevel it a little. There you go, it's a little bit thinner. See how it looks? Not too bad. Not too good, but not too bad. Okay, now do we want to give this thing some wings? How do we feel about that? That would feel interesting to me, so I would like to pick this and this poly. And we will pick the same on the other side as well. Now, because this is facing sideways, that's fine. I think we're going to need a little bit more. Okay. Oop. Hold Alt to minus and Control to add. Okay, so there we go. Right. And what we're going to do is we're going to extrude these out in order to give it some wingy bits. Does that look any good? Well, only you can be the judge of that. But they look a little bit weird coming forward, don't they? So how about we... Now we can extrude along... Ooh, cancel. Extrude along spline. This does something slightly different. Here we go, you can see. We can extrude them in a particular direction. See what I'm doing? Because I don't. That looks a little crazy, and I'm not sure how I trust it. Let's see what else we can do. That does this. Okay. What would this one do? Ooh, it goes in every direction but the direction we want. That's interesting. We can only do it in that can only be moved. That's fine. So that's not what we want to do. How about we move this up and see what happens? Hinge from edge. Let's see how that works. Oh, 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 oh. So it's hinging from the edge that we're choosing. That's interesting. Now, one thing that we could do, because obviously what we're wanting to do is not happening very well in this instance. So how about we simply make a little inset like this. That looks fine. And now we're only going to do this on one side this time. So we've chosen these, and what we're going to do is we're going to move them. Very, very simple thing to do. Okay, so we've moved these particular articles. Now, that does look like a wing. Very vaguely. But what can we do to make that look a little bit better? Let's take a look. Let's go to vertex manipulation. Choose the vertices here. And we're going to move them... Ooh, we're going to press the wrong buttons. We're going to move them way in. to give it a slightly more angular wing. Can't go all the way in, but something like that would probably do the job. Let's just take a look, see how we feel about that. That doesn't look too bad, does it? And of course we can see the view from above, so if we don't like it, that's alright, we can deal with it. Now, let's go here. Now, would this be better coming out further, or should we actually bring it slightly further in again? There we go, it's got a nice curvaceous line to it now. And if there's anything that we like, it's curvaceous lines. Ha! Now we're going to select these three. And I've got this funny idea that I'd like to actually move this backwards. Let's just see how that looks. I actually quite like that. In a strange roundabout that way, that seems to feel okay to me. Yeah. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? As I say, pretty roundabout. Okay, so what have we got here? We've only got one wing on our ship. Oh no, that is not ideal for us, is it? So what can we do about that? We're going to go back into poly mode, and we're going to think, okay, so what can I do about this? What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to select everything to the left of center. Now we might see some strange things happen here. For example, here. Because we've got some weird central bits. So let's take a look and see what's going on here. This fine fellow here hasn't got a split in the middle. If we go to vertices and see what's going on, we would need to choose this and this poly. See, we've got the... Oh, have we? Yep, got that one selected. And I want to select this one as well. Now that we have both of those selected, we can simply click the connect button. Now they're connected, which is absolutely fine. Not a problem at all. So that does give us an effective central point. But do we have that same issue here? Look, we do. So it's a good thing that we decided to check this. So it looks like it's going to be this one and this one. Let's connect them, see if that's flat. It looks flat. Okay. So we've done that now. Let's see if we can go back to poly selection and delete half of the ship. So I'm going to come slightly left of center. Looks like we have everything now. And we can simply press the delete button, and that will delete quite literally half of our ship. Doesn't look so good now, does it? That probably looks better than it did, frankly. So, in order to recreate that half of our ship, what we're going to do is we are going to press the mirror button up here. Click that, and we're going to ask it to mirror in a particular direction. Oh, needs to be a copy. On the x-axis. There we go. It's actually copied directly down the center line, which looks pretty good. And we've got both wings. But these are two separate objects. So what we need to do is we need to go attach this. That's fantastic. So they're now one object. And if we go back to our vertices option and we make use of the front wireframe picture, I'm just going to zoom in as far as I can. This is going to be a little bit fiddly. And we need to select everything that's right in the middle. So let's just try and do that without getting any extras. We have got some extras, you can see, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to minus those off. So, whoop, whoop, whoop. This is going to take me a moment or two, and I do apologise. You're not really here to watch me fuck up, but that's what I'm going to do. Because I'm just that kind of guy. See if there's any further. Yeah, here's one. Here's one. I think that's going to be all of them now. That was where the largest concentration of little ones was. Okay, so we've got all the centrally placed items. You can see, actually that's a good view to see it. Here. Now what do we need to do with these? We need to weld them together. So this is now one object, and the way that we can check this is by selecting one of these central bits and just squiggling it around. You can see it's moving independently in the way that it should do, because everything is connected. So there we go. We've now got our base shape for a ship. A little bit flat on top maybe, a little bit flat underneath maybe, not that interesting. So what can we do in order to make this more interesting? I think we need to differentiate the bottom from the top a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these bits. Maybe not the end bit. I think the end bit might not want that. So we'll deselect the end bits. That's cool. And I'm going to extrude this inwards a little. Let's see how that works. In fact, I think because we have more of these, let's select these back bits as well. And should we turn it into a bevel rather than a simple extrude? Let's have a look. If we move this inwards and then bevel it a little, let's see if we like the look of this. What do we reckon? See, it looks okay from back here, I like that, but from the front, that's not quite right, so let's undo and see if we can bevel using this. Now instantly we are greeted with a problem. Here is the problem. You can see that we have some issues there, so we can't do it that way. That is okay though. Let's remove those two end pieces, bring this up as we were planning to before, and we'll complete that bevel, because I liked the overall shape of that. Let's make sure we haven't actually connected there. No, we haven't. That's okay. But we do want to move this a little bit, because it looks a little bit unnatural, as is. How about we look at vertices mode? We take this particular polygon here, this particular vertex here, and move it up. So we can use this axis, the z-axis here, to just move that up and make it seem like more of a natural flow. Is that more natural? Well, it does look it to me, but not quite 100% natural. And why isn't it looking like that? Let's see what we can do about it. These particular items here, let's see if we can just move them back. We'll move this one back as well, like that. And let's take a sneaky peek. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. That is not a problemo. And this isn't actually affecting our design externally or internally. That's lovely. Now, of course, we could do various other things with this if we chose to. We could, for example, let's take a look. Ooh. We could take these. Maybe not the end ones, because we've learned our lesson. And we'll mirror this on the other end. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a small inset on each. I said a small inset. And again. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm going to bevel them the other way. So I'm going to bring them out slightly and then bevel them inwards. See if that's actually done what I wanted. Overall, it has. So we've got these slightly raised platforms now. That's fine. Interesting. Don't know if it's good, but it is interesting. Now, a lot of you will be thinking, alright, we need a bridge. So let's create something. Now, as always, what you can do in this instance is you can inset, and because we've got these selected, we can now move this upwards without affecting the other polygons around it. So let's do that. There we go. This is going to be our bridge section. I haven't really decided what to do with it at all, but that's life, isn't it? How about we go to our edge manipulation? Choose these edges, choose these edges. I'm going to see what happens if we just move them down a bit. It's going to make it like a little roof. Our bridge is looking hideously stupid, but I like that. Vertex mode. How about we move this up a little further so we can create some kind of little roof. And then, what we could do is we could take this one and move it down. Create kind of a flat surface where the bridge would live inside here with some great big viewport or something. Something interesting at least. Could we move that down any further to make it a flat surface? We can. And this one too. See it from the side, always good. A little higher. Yeah, that's good. And this one needs to come down slightly. It's relatively flat, probably not 100%, but what is these days? Right, so let's go back to poly manipulation, and we're going to manipulate this a little bit. Whoop. Going to bring it back, and we're going to close it off a little bit to make a great big thing. Let's take a look, see what we like. Alright, that's looking okay. One thing that does concern me about this is we may have just damaged it very, very slightly by virtue Let's take a look at that. That's acceptable. We can get a little bridge focus window in there. Don't want to. Let's extrude it instead rather than insetting it. So we're just going to do it slightly. There we go. That can be our bridge window. That can be where the naughty men or the nice men or whatever you consider them to be will see out of the ship. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to be our model. It's awful, it's terrible, it's upsetting, it probably makes you want to kill yourself, but that's what we got. We're going to call her the Wee Beastie. That's her name, HMS Wee Beastie. Fantastic, and it's probably not very high on the poly count either. I think there's a way that you can check this by going to... not that, but there's a way you can do this. Configure viewports, I believe, and if you go to statistics, we can get a triangle count in there, vertex count, etc. And it says show inactive windows. We'll apply it and press OK. This is only 706 polys. This is absolutely minuscule, which is nice. Nice as a good starting point for us. If we wanted to make this a little bit bigger, we could see it better using that. I think what I might do in this particular instance is I'm going to make this a different color. We're going to make it a just a standard grey. There we go, because I can see it better that way. Now if you want to be able to see your item a little bit better, what you can do is just get it to a position that you're kind of relatively interested in seeing it from. Like for example, I would like to see my model from that position, so I can see a number of shadows, and we can create something new. So if we go back to this one, the little star, the create button, and then click on lights, we can create a new light, which is pretty cool. We'll have a standard light, and we're just going to have a skylight, and we'll pop it up there. Let's just come out of here so we can see where our skylight is. That tends to help. What I can see, our skylight is nowhere to be seen, so let's move it around a little bit. Relative to our ship, this could be quite interesting to try and find, so I'm going to zoom that out, bring it above our ship somewhere. There you go, that's actually above our ship. I want to bring this to a front view actually. So let's go front. Yeah, that's pretty correct. Now in the middle, and let's look at our left view as well. And it's not too far above, so all that looks like where it should be really. Now you can see that it's not shining itself very well, but we've finished moving it now. That's fine. Click back on our cone so we know what's going on, and let's just... Now you can see that that light source that we've now put into the scene is actually casting a shadow. We do need to stop fannying about, and then ultimately it will work on the shadow and it will show you the kind of model that you've got. It's nice. Right, cool. So that is how our model looks with some kind of lighting applied to it. We're going to look at it from behind as well. Give it a minute. This little engine assembly section I quite like actually. It's the only thing about the model that I do really like, but there we are. Just get a bit closer and see it from, whoops, the underneath. Yeah, all quite interesting really. So, that is the end of this particular episode. Let's just Z it, Z it, Z it, and Z it. That is the end of this particular episode. We have modelled a ship. In the next episode, we are going to look at UV unwrapping, I believe, I think is the next thing that we want to do. That is something I am slightly familiar with. I was looking at it the other day. Connor, or Killer BC, was trying to teach me how. Bless him. I feel a little bit sorry for him because he's going to be given a hard time over the next week or two. But ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to carry on watching this, or you're a fantastic modeler, do please get in touch with me. I'm always keen to learn new skills. So, you know, tell me in the comments where I've been going wrong. Tell me if you want to get in touch with me and teach me some new skills, and I will be absolutely delighted to hear from you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Golducat out.